Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, we appreciate your joining us today for a new episode of The Rope That Binds Us, As-Sunnah waljama'aah. Last episode we were talking about the importance of understanding the textual evidence in Quran and Sunnah based on al-Zahir. And we said al-Zahir means the obvious meaning. The first meaning that you understand from the words when you hear it, if you're familiar with the language. And we said this is the nature of the Arabic language, and I believe any language, this is the way people communicate with each other. That usually I understand the obvious meaning that what comes to my mind when I hear your statement or when I hear you talking. And also this is the way to unite people in one understanding or one general understanding. Because if we said the obvious meaning is not intent, there is other hidden meaning in the words, that will open the door for everybody to come with his own interpretation to the word or his own understanding, and that will lead to confusion. That will lead to confusion because my people come with things which is contradict each other. And also we said this, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum arda, the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they never dealt with the textual evidence other than this way, That's why you see that the early Muslim generations used to advise their students and those who became Muslims to always accept the obvious meaning of the verses. That's why, for example, Sufyan al-Thawri and others used to say, أَمِرُّوهَا عَلَى ظَاهِرِهَا, accept these texts the way it is. Just accept the zahir, which is the obvious meaning of the words, without trying to give other meaning to it, which is ta'wil, especially if there is no proof for that. So generally we're talking about the principles of driving rulings and understanding textual evidence from the authentic source of religion. We talk about the first rule, which is understanding the text based on zahir without ta'wil or tafwid. And we said that al-zahir means the obvious meaning, al-ta'wil to give another meaning to the text, and al-tafwid to believe that the meanings of the words are unknown to us. Now we will talk about, let's go back a little bit, we'll talk about very specific issue where confusion happen and dispute happen between Muslims and sometimes in the Islamic history or the history of the Islamic science. And unfortunately it still exists until today, but I would like to touch base on it a little bit. Are we dealing with the same way with the verses related to Allah's names and attributes? Do we also accept the obvious meaning of it? So when you read a verse describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He loves, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves something or loves somebody, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is angry at certain people, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wisdom or knowledge or life, or He exists. When I see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears and sees, when I hear a verse talking about Allah's wisdom, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hand, how can we understand these kind of verses which talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and about His names and attributes? Are we still apply the same rule that we accept the obvious meaning or not? We accept the zahir or not? There is two basically ways. People who said, no, we still accept the obvious meanings. And another group said, no, we don't accept the obvious meaning. But remember, the rule was, we always accept the obvious meaning. We don't differentiate between verses related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or other. This is the nature of the Arabic language. This is the way this is the way to communicate with any to communicate with each other, to deliver information. When you say something, you always intend the obvious meaning, unless there is a proof, there is an indication telling me that you don't mean the obvious meaning. You don't mean the obvious meaning. So those who said, or those who accept the obvious meanings, ahlusunnah waljama'aah, the people who follow the sunnah and the people of al-jama'aah, they said that we accept the obvious meaning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, the verses which is related to Allah's names and attributes. And this does not mean that they are comparing Him to His creation, because there is difference between the meanings of these attributes and the description of their nature. What do we mean by that? Brothers and sisters, there is always difference between the meaning and the description of the nature of the thing. Like when I tell you, give you an example. I have watch. What do you understand from the word watch? A machine that I can tell the time from it, or I can detect the time through it. That's right. You don't understand from it if it's black, white, digital, or it is big or small, it is steel, or it's rubber, or it is leather. What the nature of it, something, and the meaning is something else. Remember, there is always difference between the meaning and the nature of the thing, which we say in Arabic, al-ma'na wal-kayf. There is always difference between the description of it and the meaning of it. So if I tell you I have a car, you understand, this is a vehicle that I used to, it's a form of transportation. But you don't know what is my car. Is it Infiniti? Is it Camry? Is it Caprice? What kind of car? You don't know. So basically, we're talking about here a difference between the meaning and the nature of the thing. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about Himself, we know the meaning of the attributes and the names, but we don't know the nature of it, the way it is, it looks like. That's totally different issue. That's totally different issue. Some people thought that if we accept the obvious meaning, it means we're making Allah similar to His creation. So if we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wisdom, and we say that human beings has wisdom, that means Allah's wisdom like humans' wisdom. Or if we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alive, and you are alive, it means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alive and the humans live, it means they are like each other. No, that's totally it's not correct, and that's not acceptable. Allah's life, Allah's knowledge, Allah's existence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love, Allah's hands, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's talk, it's totally different in nature than the talking and the face and the love and the mercy and the knowledge and the existence of the human being. The meaning is there is something common in the meaning, but the nature of it, the description of it, it's different. It is different. That's basically what ahlusunnah said. So when we hear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam with His hand, it means He created him with His hand. There is no need to say He created Adam with His power, or with His might, or with His mercy, whatever interpretation they might give. No, we said He created Adam with His hand, it means with His hand. There is no need to look for another meaning to the verse. That's what we say, al-zahir. That's what we accept, al-zahir. Unfortunately, there is another group also said we accept the obvious meaning. We call them, they've been called al-mumathila. Al-mumathila. And they are the one who claims that the obvious meaning indicate that Allah's attributes are the same in nature as those of His creation. So basically, they're saying Allah similar to His creation. Similar to His creation. A'udhu billah. And this is absolutely not acceptable. Actually, this is a form of kufr, disbelief, to believe that Allah similar to His creation in nature. That His hand like hands of human beings, or His face like the face of the human being, His mercy like the mercy of human beings, or He has His knowledge similar to the knowledge of the human being. No, this is absolutely not correct, not acceptable. Because the obvious meaning is different than what they claim. When you attribute a characteristic to something, the attribute is defined by the specific nature of the one it is attributed to. if I say white, the color white, this is white. The paper is white. And snow is white. And this person, you might say this is, my hand is white. Or somebody is white. Another person is white. And the screen here, there is white. The light that you see is white. But you see, there is a big difference between the level of white from one item to another. From one item to another. If I tell you I have a hand, or I have a power, and the elephant has a power, and also there is power in the electricity, and there is power in the line. This power different from one to another. So that's why you cannot say that every attribute is exactly similar to the other, regardless where you contributed or attributed to. So what we're saying is the attribute is defined by the specific nature of the one it attributed to. So if you're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence, is different than my existence and your existence and the existence of the whole creation. Because we were exist and one time we were not exist. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence been there all the time. We talk about Allah's life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's life has no start point. But our life has a start point. And there is a time we are going to die. But Allah's life is not like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's voice, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that Allah when He speaks in the Day of Judgment, the people who are close to Allah will hear Him in the same way those who are very far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is different than the nature of our voices. That the people who are close, they can hear me more clear than the people who are very far away, because when my voice travel longer distance, it became weaker. So the nature of Allah's attributes different than the nature of our attributes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly said that He is not similar to His creation, as He mentioned that in Surah 42, verse 11, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَالسَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said also, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. And none is like Him. None is like Him. Yani nobody has the same nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. I hope this is clear, because it is by the consensus of the Muslim scholars that nobody can say that Allah's attributes or names similar in its nature to the human beings' attributes and names. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and respect Him and honoring Him the way He deserves. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. I will see you inshallah in the next episode.